What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're here with Sasha Johnson. Now, many of you, if you follow us on Instagram, you probably saw her in a video where she was checking this reporter.
Why do you think kneeling on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds
so
wouldn't kill him?
I can show you a video now. Of
That's a legal hold, by the way.
I'll show you.
Listen, you just need to shut up, man. You're a queen. You just need to shut up.
Get angry some more and threaten me some more.
Get angry and threaten you some more?
Yeah.
I promise you, I don't threaten you, I promise you.
Promise, okay.
So come out there. Let's live through the promise. Come out there, let's live through the promise.
Come on.
Come out there and we'll live through the promise. I can promise you now.
Come on.
Come out there and we live it through.
Okay, dude.
You're a coon. Dude, what? What do you mean? Because I'm a girl, you think I'm gonna fuck you up?
Come on, man.
Because I'm a girl.
We're here to
You're here to drive this side out to make it look like all black people are ignorant. Yeah, I'm angry right now because of what's going on. It's made me angry, yes. Just like when he was angry when he thought that his town was being destructed, his city statues were going down. I'm angry too.
Of course you're angry.
Yeah, so why are you calling me dude? What does the dude mean?
And you also
what does the dude mean?
You don't believe stats and facts.
What does the dude mean?
It's recorded.
So what does the dude mean? What does the dude mean?
I'll be honest.
How am I? You're what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We're what you are. What we're dealing with.
Overly emotional, angry, quick to violence.
Are you calling a black woman angry? You're a coon. You don't need to be in this conversation. You don't need to be in this conversation.
You should be able.
How can I racially abuse this man? Can someone give this brother some knowledge? How can I racially abuse him?
Who is a black male, but you know how those Fox News types, the Jesse Lee Peterson, Larry Elder types, basically was interviewing her, and she was checking this dude at the time period. And the Mzungus was, oh boy, in the comments, it was funny. They were so butthurt about her doing that because, they try to defend their Sambos. But Sasha, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, Sasha, just tell people before we get into that particular interview, tell people just a little bit about yourself and how did you come into the knowledge that you have now?
So I've been studying at Oxford. I study youth and community development. I did a small counselling course. I started to do activism from uni, then from not fitting in and feeling like I was almost too black to be there at times, and white tutors on other courses not liking the fact that my course had access, black children had access to my course, and that we was advancing from it and we were becoming leaders on those courses, and they didn't like that fact, so they challenged and I challenged back. And since that, I've been doing community activism like food larders in the community, feeding my community, working alongside gaining access to opportunities in my community for young black people and getting young black people to mobilize on the ground for their rights.
So who are some of your biggest inspirations that you have saw that's been freedom fighters?
So Marcus Garvey has to be, Angela Davis, Eartha Kitt. I like a bit of Ashata Shakur, Malcolm X. I like the members of the Haitian Revolution, people like that. Nanny the Marooners, I'm Jamaican, Chamachak. Those are people that inspire me. Those are people that I saw pick up the fight. Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, Brother Kahim Muhammad. Those are people I saw pick up the fight and really was wanting change for their people, and they were serious about that change. They meant by any means necessary, and they didn't just sit down and turn the other cheek at a slave master, but they got up and they gave a fight back. They rebelled.
Well, it's been said that you hear people in the UK talk about us in America and what we deal with as Black Americans, and they'll say, we're not as racist like the Mzungus in America. We're talking about white people when I say Mzungu. In America, we're not like them. Like, look how open they are. Look at Donald Trump. Look at all these people. But what is on the ground in the UK? Because I've seen you out there protesting. You really go in, and they do not like you from what I've seen and read. I'm talking about those folks.
So here, what they've done, they've used the media to kind of villainize,
of
to
course.
Say, oh, she's a terrorist. She doesn't have any direction in what she means, and what are Black Lives Matter asking for? The organization is giving their money to Democrats. We're not racist. The problem isn't over here. The problem with British people is they're subtle in their racism. They won't outwardly call you a nigger, but they will make sure they do the in-house work to prevent you gaining access to opportunities or getting to where you want to get. And in England, what I've realised is what they've done is they've created a prison system that is building up of black young men, while our black women are out here being told you're independent. Borders are closed to our countries, but open to the European countries, while they're piling our men in prison. So it's ethnic cleansing, but they won't look at it like it's ethnic cleansing. They will say simply, if you don't like it here, go back to your country. But I say to them when they say that, give us our shit and we'll go back. We don't have a problem with going back to our countries, but when we go back to our countries, don't come chucking sanctions, don't come with your no-fly zones, don't come with your subliminal starvation. Leave us alone, let us go back, give us our resources to go back with. Survive on your own resources, but wait, you have none.
Well, you know, they have some nerve. Let me tell you, especially in the UK, they have some nerve. Because after World War II, if you remember that, and you know what I'm about to go with the Windrush, they went to the Caribbean begging black people to come to the Caribbean to help build that up. And also America gave them money with the Marshall Plan. So between the two, definitely a black folks building it up from the ground. And then how dare they tell black people, well, you know, you can go back.
That's why it's so important to know your history. So if we remember when Jamaica took part in the Cuban Revolution and so forth, they didn't like that. They decided that they wanted to punish us. How dare us decide to step outside their jurisdiction? And then when you look at them calling the UK the motherland and come over here and help us, you're invited to the motherland. This is a country that prides itself on paperwork. This is a country that prides itself on everything being in black and white. How do you just happen to lose paperwork of people that have been here helping? People have helped to build up the NHS system you pride yourself on giving free healthcare. People that have helped you fight a war that you couldn't fight for yourself. And the very statues of the people you're protecting, they didn't give a crap about you. They cared about capitalism. They didn't care about you, the people of the country.
Right, right. So I'll just, you know, I remember interviewing, you know, Sister Juliet, you know, with the Black Tip channel. She's originally from the UK, and she had a lot of, you know, she calls it the UKKK. That's what she calls it.
That's what I call the police in the UK, the KKK, because they're never held accountable. And I see that people have their eyebrows up and they're like, you're calling the police the KKK. We live in the UK. The KKK lynches people publicly, but that's what the police does now. They publicly do some brutal acts on people, whether it go from killing people to beating people up to just taking your dignity, ducking you down for a search, stopping you because they can, getting in altercations with you because they can, and never been held accountable. Why? Because they're protected by the uniform. Remember when the KKK said in this world, they're not going to be in their white cloaks and their headscarves. They're going to be in uniform. They're going to be in our justice system. They're going to be in our hospitals. They're going to be in our police system. They're going to be in every facet of an institution that runs this economy in these countries, these businesses that we're calling countries.
And, you know, people have to understand, you know, they try to say, oh, America, we the most, you know, racist country, or at least they're talking about these Mzungus here. But people have to understand the Western version of slavery started with that same British people as right there where you live.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like your pound, the reason why it's so strong is because all the gold they stole from Ghana. I mean, the largest diamond that's on your queen's, well, I'm not saying your queen, but their queen's crown that was stolen from South Africa.
And then the men that helped them in their education went to steal from South Africa, like Cecil Rhodes. He was a 17-year-old white man that went to South Africa, created a law called the Glen Grey Law, and stole land and started mining for diamonds. And he's seen as a renowned scholar and a traveler. No, he's a thief. Those are blood diamonds. And when you talk about these things, people want to act as if you're the one going crazy, or you're just a bit too black for them, or you're too white. Well, listen, we're in a spiritual war. This has happened so many times that if we fail to react now, we're only walking our children and our future generation into their own demise. There's no point prettying it up. I call that man a coon because anybody watching that's our people, they need to know who he is. They need to know that any black man that will take a major far-right platform to denounce his people is nothing more, nothing less than a goon.
I'm with you on that because, you know, have you seen the case of Jonathan Price here in America? Have you seen that case?
No, I haven't. I've been
Hearing about it. Well, you know, what ended up happening to this, you know, black man is that he was killed by the police recently. Well, a few months ago, when we were starting to turn up for George Floyd over here, you know, he was one of them same black people that was saying, "What y'all doing out there? You making me sick. You're making everything about race." Then he started talking about some white folks raised him and fed him a lot of food, and he had these addiction to their, you know, these white females and all this stuff. He's talking about how great the police were, and them same police that he thought they were so great kill his behind just early this month. Now I don't want to see nobody lose their life, but see, that's what we're dealing with out
He
here.
needed to go.
You say what?
He needed to go. He needed the same people he worshipped, the same people he wants his merits from. They're the same people who took him out. It showed him in the end who they are. So it took him to that point to see who they are. That's why we're saying to our brothers and sisters, wake up now. When you're a collaborator like that man was, and you're collaborating with a system that works against your vested interest, and you end up becoming a victim to that system, I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, this is how I feel about it. He got a wake up call, and we always talk about the Negro wake up call over here. He got it in death. So I always tell people, look, learn the lesson of that dude and don't repeat it, because these people over here, they're race soldiers. These race soldiers don't care. These race soldiers will kill you where you stand, and they thinking that, oh, because I got an education, oh, because I got some money. Like, listen, if you from the poor man to the president to these people, you ain't nothing but the N-word.
Look what happened. Look what happened in the Haitian Revolution, where Toussaint, when he thought that because he was a military soldier, he could go and negotiate with the French, and they were going to see him in his rank as this revered general, and they were going to respect him as that. No, they reminded him, "You're nothing but a Negro." So each time we've seen this happen in history, I wonder, does it not teach our people anything, that we're better off united? We will never conquer or bring about real change divided. And when the master attempts to divide us in certain ways, we have to hold a resistance. That resistance could start from small things, from even when you see racism, calling it out. If you know someone is a racist, educate them, do something about it. Not everyone's asking you to be 10 toes down and underground. It would be good if you realize the gratitude of what's actually happening and the levels that we're at right now, to realize, yeah, you should be 10 toes down on the ground. When we see XR Rebellion marching for the climate, they're tying themselves to things, they're gluing themselves to things. The police are not brutalizing them the way they brutalize us. So that shows us that there's a massive need for change with how the police interact with our community. And we have to hold them accountable. We have to police the police. We have to be better in uniting with each other and trusting each other in business, in creating back the Black family, tackling the education curriculum and this Eurocentric curriculum, and try getting some Afrocentric in there to teach our people where they came from, because every white child that enters a classroom, they know exactly where they come from. They know who their granddad was, and they plan 50 to 100, 300 years ahead of time, because we don't know because they're hiding our history from us, and we don't know who we are essentially. We're not planning 100 years ahead. We're not planning 50 years ahead. We're not seeing ourselves in the future advancing and being creators and scholars and stuff, because they're teaching us that we're savages and barbarics, and there's no pre-colonial teaching there. And if you ask or you inquire, or you just seem to be that a bit educated with from your own family, or your grandparents has taught you something, they fear you so much that this education system then works against you.
Right. And one thing that Malcolm X had taught, that only a fool would allow his enemy to teach him. And we have, as Black folks, been very foolish. And
yeah, because a master would not give you a tool to dismantle a house.
Right. And one thing I would say about this is COVID-19 has actually it's been bad, but it's been a good thing. I'm going to tell you why. Because a lot of Black parents are homeschooling their children now. And I've been covering videos on this where Black parents are literally caught these teachers literally just being straight up racist to their kids in the classroom, or this one teacher got caught, trying to talk down on George Floyd, like that had anything to do with the classroom, but she wanted to slip in about how George Floyd was just so horrible and all this. And the mom heard it, and the mom went in on this teacher. And I said, see, That's been a problem for a long time. You know, these teachers, especially these, you know, female ones that's in there, as Mzungu, they sit up there and tell our kids how horrible they are. They abuse our kids mentally, verbally.
Build their self-esteem.
Yeah, they in America, I don't know about the UK, but they put them what we call a school to prison pipeline. What they do in America is like, especially our black boys, they'll say, "Oh, he's a problem. He's a problem. Let's put him in special education. Oh, let's put him on medication." They do the same thing in the UK.
Yeah, put him in special education, exclusion, send him to day centers. Then before you know it, they've already marked them as aggressive, a problem with interacting with the system. Then it follows them through teenage years where the system's already used to them resisting. So they decide to apply the pressure, meaning they get into youth offenders. Then after that, it's prison. Then they come back out. It's reoffending. It's creating a cycle.
So basically, what you're telling me, like we all say, the whole Western system, like I say, it's just for us as black folks, is literally destructive. The whole Western system. It's nothing about it that's good for us, really. If you look at education, look at the food we eat, if you look at the way we treat it, you know, psychologically, everything in the Western system is horrible for black folk. Would that be your assessment?
Yeah, but we're too scared to return to what we feel like we don't know, because we're watching these European channels and Western channels show us Africa somewhere that they live in mud hut, they're hungry, they need clean water, they're unsanitized. A lot of us are scared to return back to where we come from. Even for people that's come over from the Caribbean, a lot of them are scared to go back to where they come from. But if we was to get the message that these people are sending us, that they don't want us in their countries no more.
You 100% right about that. I agree. And I always talk about an exodus. And listen, I get a lot of resistance, Sasha, talking about maybe we need to try our chance on the African continent. Because see, when I first went in 2018, I was invited to Ethiopia. And once I got to Ethiopia and I really got to see it, it was two things that happened to me. First of all, I felt a connection to the land, like spiritually. Second of all, I got mad. I got mad because, like what you said about mud huts and, oh, go back to Africa and show the starving children from Sally Struthers, at least in America, from back in the day. And I'm over there, 5-star restaurants, hotels, beautiful homes. Our money go a lot further. You in the UK, you could take your money from the UK, go down there, and it's literally like 3 or 4 times more than what the currency is. Okay. And you go so much further for your people out there.
That's, I think, for every black person, children of diaspora that's around the world, our main aim should be to get reparations for African to return to all our countries and hold our and have real independence, have a real independence, not just celebrate these independence, but we know that we haven't actually got independence, because that's us living a part of the lie as well. We're continuing the lie. Just like how they continue the lie of this white Jesus by us pretending that our countries are independent when we know for a fact that we're not. It's continuing that lie. It's like, why celebrate the 4th of July when we know what that means to them? We know what why celebrate Black Friday? Why continue these tradition that we know it works against our vested interest and has always worked against our people, and at times has been the trauma of our people?
Well, I would tell you, in my household, we don't celebrate no 4th of July, because I've made many videos called the 4th of July, because July 4th, 1776, my ancestors were still on the plantation. Okay. We don't celebrate no murderers, rapists, pedophile named Christopher Columbus that didn't even set foot in this land. He actually landed in the Caribbean, right? Went back to Spain in chains. We don't celebrate that. We surely don't celebrate no so quote unquote Thanksgiving, where these folks came here and just slaughtered black folks that was already here, right? We don't celebrate that. And surely white Jesus, well, that's the idol of white supremacy. So if you are worshiping white Jesus, you worshiping their God that says, okay, it's okay to kill black folks, jail black folks, rape, pillage. You know, don't talk about the child trafficking that these folks are into, right? Anything that's horrible, their God says okay.
Come about. The Jeffrey Epstein thing, Prince Andrew. It's like I keep saying, every time they put me on a platform, I keep saying, well, it's funny how you distract yourself with a little black girl like me that you claim is uneducated and I make no sense, but we don't give mention of the Queen needing to give her son over to the Americans for that rape and paedophilia that he's been getting involved in. People are like, oh, no, he's just to be held just as accountable as you would hold anybody else. I don't care if he's a member of the a monarch. He needs to be held accountable.
And what Monarch, what makes them so special? I mean, because that's kind of what it is. Everything they have received, they didn't work for it. That's why I don't respect nobody, Sasha. They don't work for what they have. They stole, they raped, they pillaged, they used slavery in the UK, slavery in America to build up everything they have. I can't respect
Slavery
them.
in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, the Commonwealth. I mean, the British was notorious. I mean, you look at what the British did in Australia. That was a completely black island. New Zealand, black island. And look out, like the pictures. If you go see how they was cutting the heads off of black folks in New Zealand and just taking pictures with it. I mean, it's easy to go find this stuff. And
look what they did in result. So they created shows like the Tasmanian Devil that represents Aborigines and what happened in Australia, how they hunted them down and killed them.
And a lot of times they did this just for fun. I don't know if you remember what the British done in Australia, where they were burying black children in over there and taking turns trying to kick the heads off of black children. This is these British people.
And people say, why are you angry? And I say, why am I angry? I'm angry because I've come to an understanding that most of the problems we have in our life it's bigger than what we thought it was. It's not just the fact that things are happening to us because it's happening. It's a system that's been put in place to make sure these things happen. There's a system working towards us not getting anywhere. There's a system purposely wanting to stop us from gaining access to knowledge to a certain degree. It's okay when you know knowledge on a micro scale, but when you start to really access lift the veil on knowledge, like the Pope worships a black Madonna. Why would they make, if Jesus, it didn't matter what Jesus, if it doesn't matter what color Jesus is, why is it so important that they hide the fact that this is a black man? Why is it that with Egyptian Egyptology and stuff like that, they hide the fact that it was black people that was responsible? Why don't they want us to know who we were? Why? Because we were great.
They want to hide that. Let me tell you why. Because there's this thing you need to read called the 10 precepts of slavery jurisprudence, and when one of them in there talks about how we cannot find out about who we really are. Like, we have to be given the knowledge and mindset that they gave to us, right? That's why they changed the names and did everything like that to us and get us to believe in the white Jesus. Understand? Because think about it. You found out who you are and listen how you talking. Now, what if 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people start speaking just like you? They will have a problem, and they don't want that.
When brothers and sisters put themselves at the forefront and put themselves up, I think our people owe it to them to stand by them and to protect them in that. Because I've seen more black people, like on Good Morning Britain, they've sent a black girl, Dominic Samuels, her name is, to be the person to attack me. Why? Because a white man doesn't feel comfortable addressing me right now. He knows exactly what I've come to do. He knows what I've come to dismantle that system. Like, he's not trying to address me in any way, shape, or form. But they will send your own to come up against you and your own to come and challenge you to say this doesn't exist. Because what? When it's your own image taking you on, there's no way other people could look at it and say that person's racist or that person. They're looking at two black people argue amongst themselves yet again, black and black, and then it defeats the purpose of why we're even there in the first place. And they just water you off into the background. As in, I've kept going. I've been a part of, I don't know if you've heard of Taking the Initiative Party, TTIP.
I've never heard of it, but I know the girl you're speaking of. Actually, I've the young woman, I don't say girl. I've interviewed her here. And you know, we definitely have some differences for sure.
Differences is she's a coon. They don't like it when you call them who they are. They don't like it when you call them who they are. Any black woman or black man that takes a major platform right now to denounce the struggles and hardship that has happened, the struggles that our ancestors shed blood, tears, sweat, literal, for the pain that they went through, for you to denounce that under the acts of patriotism, you're a black woman. You are a black woman. Who do you think you are? You've forgotten exactly where you've come from. And when you speak to them like that, they come at you with facts and statistics. Well, it was made facts that things like eugenics and Darwinism was used as facts against my people. So why is it today I should take and mobilize these facts and statistics? They still mean nothing to us. They'll mean just as much to us as the IQ system means to us. Nothing. It's there to work against us. The same, their curricula is there to work against us. These propaganda and these people that are pushing and perpetuating these propagandas like, oh, the police isn't that bad in the UK and Black Lives Matter is not representing Black people. No, Black Lives Matter simply says Black people's lives matter. I'm fed up with people like her utilizing it like it's an organization. The people that are on the ground and the people that are talking about their struggle and are voicing their want for change, they don't have access to that money. They don't have access to that organization. They're a movement. And it's people like her that they send out to distort the movement and to name this movement an organization and to pin stereotypes to the movement. Like it hasn't changed anything, but a few letterboxes have been painted black. What Royal Mail did by painting those letterboxes black, it doesn't represent the movement. The movement is still asking for things like the race offenders register to be implemented, which is similar to the sex offenders register. We're still asking for the police funding to be reallocated into the youth service. So when she comes with the minuscule, it takes away from the big picture. So when I call her a coon, she is a coon. She's a Black woman that is there to dismantle her own people and their struggle to get her merits, her personal merits, because these are not merits that all Black people get on behalf of Dominique Samuels. She's looking for her own merits, for her own career gain. I didn't come into the struggle for a career. I came in to try and make as much of a tangible and sustainable change as I could possibly make, which is why at times I've been late responding to media. I've been late because I'm on the ground doing the things. I'm setting up food larders in communities. I'm actually speaking to the people in the communities to ask, what is a need in your community? Where do you feel like this system has failed you? Where do you feel like you could start off by seeking change? I'm not saying that you're going to wake up overnight and be like me, where you're out here on a public front challenging a system and a country's governance. I'm saying you could start off by challenging your local council's governance, by challenging the way the school system interacts with your child, or challenging the kind of education you want to give your child, whether we're teaching our children to be employers or employees, the same way the white man sent his child to private school to teach them to be the next president, MPs, councillors. We need to teach our children to be entrepreneurs, to have entrepreneurship, to be boss, to be leaders, to be innovators, to be creators, because that's exactly what they've come from.
Well, you know, I hate that y'all was on the white media having that conversation, you and Dominique personally. I know when she was over here, she had rarely admitted racism existed. She rarely admitted systemic racism existed. She also admitted about police brutality over here. Now, what she talk about over there, I don't know. I would prefer if y'all had that conversation back and forth, whatever how it would be on Black media and not on no white platform that's trying to manipulate two Black women and say, oh, look at these two Black women fighting each other, etc. Right? And
I never fight another queen. We could only learn lessons from each other.
Mm-hmm.
We could only learn lessons from each other, because the same way that I would speak to her is the same way I would like to have an understanding of where do you even develop that attitude towards your own. I would really want to understand that. That's something that I struggle to understand, because I'm so down for my people that I think there is only one thing. The white man isn't going to stick it out for you in the end. It's been proven time and time and again. They're not, you could trust them thus far.
Well, Sasha, let me ask you a question, Sasha. If for some reason we can arrange that, would you participate in that?
Of course I will. If she's willing to take me on a white media and she says that she can't wait to debate me and put me in my place kind of thing, she should think about waiting to have a discourse rather than a debate, something that we could probably both see where we come from, the different facets of where we come from. I'd be happy to do that rather than do it on Piers Morgan or somewhere that I know that they're waiting around steadily to use my words against me again and to make further the agenda and calling me a terrorist and all of this.
Oh no, that wouldn't happen over here. Well, I promise you this. I would, let's see if we can make that happen, because I can contact Dominique like that because we talk to each other here and there. So let's see about making that happen. But Piers Morgan himself, he's a white supremacist. Let's call it what it is. He is so white supremacist. It's not even funny. I wouldn't go on none of these shows because, like, for what? I'm not talking to you. Talk to the devil for what? That's what you are, a devil.
Okay, so you see, I was like that in the beginning, and now I have like people saying, if you leave something long enough unanswered, it becomes fact. So they're saying, oh, you kind of do have to go denounce these things because they've created fake Twitter pages. They've come after my business. I've had my car attacked where someone slung a brick through my car and took the windows out, and stuff like that. So people saying, oh, get on there and kind of explain to them that you didn't send out these tweets. And I'm the same as what you say. Talk to them for what you run up and you will get done up. Like, I'm not that typical black girl that's going to wait around for you to do something to me. I believe by any means necessary. So nothing that they do could deter me from the fight. I saw what Brother Malcolm went through. I saw what Brother Martin went through. I've seen what great black leaders that held resistance. Angela Davis, especially, she held her resistance so hard that in the end they could only imprison her, and even then she freed herself. So you have to look at how much you're willing to risk for this fight, and that's where I'm at the moment. Is that I'm 10 toes down. I'm anything for this change because there's no turning back now. We've already came so strong. It's the first time in a long time that around the world, black people have had one voice in a calling saying, we want change. Why don't we use that to our best of our abilities right now and actually get something done, achieve something?
I'm with you 100%. The water is troubled right now. And this is a good time. So, our biggest thing that we're promoting is we all need to be on code, right? And even if you're not out there in the forefront, one thing about white supremacy, they may not be in the forefront. They may not be the right wing domestic terrorist militia or the Klan, but they shut the hell up and stay on code. That's what they do. And why do you think some black folks just can't do that? They always got to look for validation from massa. If you notice that, they like, look, I'm not like Sasha, Massa. I'm not like her.
That's what they do. They say, you can play with me. I'll play your game. I'll sing your tune. But I say there's a reason why the caged bird continues to sing. And I'm not singing no white man's tune. And I'm not working against my people at no white man, because in the end they will stand up for their own. Can you imagine if a white man got slaughtered by a black police officer in the street the same way George Floyd was slaughtered? We will see a different day. We will see a different day. When they're out there, when they're claiming to wanting to save their, if people notices what happened. They can't tell me racism don't exist because white people came out more to march against Corona than they did to stand up for Black Lives Matter. They came out more to march against Jeffrey Epstein than they did when the Boko Haram girls were taken in Nigeria. And do you see the difference in how things are addressed amongst our people?
Of course, Sasha, of course I see it. I mean, thing is, I've accepted it that the Mzungu do not care about us like that. They don't love us like that. They built a system of inequality. They built a system on not being fair. They don't want to compete at a level playing field because they're not going to win. Okay. And Richard Spencer, if you listen to him, he really broke down how they think. All they care about is winning, dominating, and power. That's it. And that's how they move completely. So since we know this, we can't expect them to, oh, well, that's why I don't even like hearing us in the street sometimes telling them anything. Like, I don't need to tell you my life matter. We need to say to each other, our life matter. Okay, now let's protect ourselves. Let's build
our own structures. Let's have our own, let's start putting money into our economy, financial literacy, our own education. Right. Just like how we talk about these Pan-African schools, let's go back into doing Pan-African school. Let's build our own structures, our own organizations. The same way that we can't keep asking the white man to fund the change that we want to see, because they're not going to. It's like when people are like, oh, let's ask the government for funding to get a youth club. They're not going to give you that. If they were ever going to give you that in the first place, the youth sector wouldn't be under austerity, because if you notice, white children still have access to what they need. It's only austerity in certain areas and communities, these mini ghettos that they're creating, this gentrification that they're doing to areas. So when we look at stuff like that, they're never going to give us the tools to dismantle the house. We have to decide the same way that we will spend our money on Gucci, Prada, Fendi, the same way that we will go buy 6 gold chains and own five cars, is the same way that we need to go and say, you know what, £1 each, 1 million of us, that's a building. We have our own school. The way our middle class black people go run and donate these monies to Ivy League education like Yale, Harvard, and donate that into your community. Build our own universities. You lot are acting like you don't know about Monson, you don't know about Timbuktu. Build our own universities, build our own structures, build our own hospitals.
I'm with you. Group economics was one thing that we, do not have on lock. For me, it's like Dr. Claude Anderson, he really preached that about group economics. Because you look at all these different races, they have group economics together, right? And the reason why we are so, put in a position of asking instead of talking from a position of power is due to group economics. Because it doesn't matter if we have like so many millionaires out there. If the group isn't doing well, then we all aren't doing well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need to see. Now, my position on that is this. Let's build where we at. Fine. In America, build in the UK. But my thing is, I want to make sure I have a power base in Africa too. That's my mindset. Because I look at this place is going down. All the West is going down. If you study it, it's perpetually going down. And I don't want my people to be caught up in their destruction because they have a judgment waiting on them. It's not our situation, it's theirs. So we need to make sure our act is together, our passports and everything else. We need to do our investments, etc. Whether it's in the Caribbean, is your people from the Caribbean originally?
Jamaica, yes.
Okay, okay. When last time you been back to Jamaica?
Pardon? March. I was there March before the lockdown began.
Okay, all right. Well, so how did you feel being back in Jamaica when you was over there?
I go back home. I help people in my community. I look at what the need is there as well. So I'm not just looking to make change here. When I go back, I look at what access to education is for people that have less fortunate than myself. I help people, young mothers in the area, either gain access to employment. So I go around helping to build CVs. I bring clothes. I bring stuff back when I can. I help financially with people that need it.
Do you feel happier when you're in Jamaica than the UK?
Of course, there's not a postman dropping stress through the letterbox. There's nothing. You wake up with a sense of happiness. You feel a sense of connectedness, but then you realize that these people have less than you have, and they're happy. They're fulfilled. They're not wanting too much. They're not inquiring about the latest fashion. They don't know. They don't care what the name says on your clothes. They don't care about extensions, or it's a lot more of it's a more conscious self.
So have you ever thought about like when you were there one time, like, you know what, man, I'm gonna get myself together and like F it. I'm gonna come, just come home to Jamaica. You ever thought about that?
As you see, I'm in this fight, and a lot of people's warned me what this could end up to be, because I haven't got. So I'm not British, as you know. So they're saying to me, "Oh, it could result in them deporting you out of the country," and so send me back to where I come from. If that's what you've got to do, that's what you have to do. I'm not scared to go back.
So you talk about you being attacked, because we know the white supremacists are cowards. We know that they are not the most courageous at all. And you being a woman, what is the amount of attacks? Because you talked about your car being vandalized. You talk about them messing with your business. How you feed yourself. But what else have they done to you?
So one morning I got out my car at like 5 a.m. I pulled up at my work, at my business, and I got out my car to a white lady who shouted, "Who the F do you think you are?" And I just remember thinking, how the heck did she find my car and know my car and so I just turned to her and I loudly stated to her, "Black power. That's who the heck I think I am." So it's about people turning up and coming around you in disguises, pretending they're someone else, and then later coming online to say, "Oh, I was in your shop today," or "Oh, I saw you today. I was the one that spoke to you today." And you know, weird things like that, down from people getting on balaclavas, getting on mopeds to attack my car, people threatening to cut my car brakes, telling me they're going to shoot me, they're going to stab me, I'm a little nigger, I should go back to my country, I'm a monkey, I'm ugly, to going on my business page and flooding it with bad ratings, pretending that they've been to my business, showing up in public to say that like they're protesting against me and the threats of violence and stuff, but I've never backed down.
So you've never harmed anybody?
I've never backed down.
Okay. So basically what I'm saying, no, I'm asking this rhetorical questions. You never harmed nobody. You never committed no crimes, nothing. They're calling you a terrorist. They're calling you everything else, right?
Yeah.
Sound familiar? See, the thing is, in America and the UK, they're the same people. Literally. Like I said, it's global white supremacy. So it doesn't shock us at all that all this is happening to you. Now, your business itself, is it something that online that people can support your business, or because
it's a restaurant.
Oh, okay. You own a restaurant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was about to say, you know, where anybody, is in London where your restaurant is located?
Oxford.
In Oxford. Okay. You're in Oxford. Okay. Well, we'd definitely like to know, you know, the name of your restaurant and try to tell people to go support you, because I don't like, you know, when they target a brother or sister like that and they cower. It's like, okay, if it's not true, just tell them, like, prove that you're a liar. Because you notice they never prove that you're lying.
No, they can't, because I've never, when they say about I speak of a revolution and they're saying I'm inciting violence. So what happened was they banned me from London and they've been trying to take me to court under the grounds of inciting violence, harassment against police officer and all of this stuff. So they banned me from entering the whole of London.
Wow, so you banned?
Not anymore. I had a lawyer work on that for me, because it was just unheard of that you would ban someone from a whole city when something took place in a specific area, and it weren't like I'm going around and doing it. This was a one-off incident, and it wasn't one that was violent. So
that sounds like a pattern, because I think the last person I heard that was just banned from the UK was Tariq Nasheed. He was the last one that was banned. But when he dropped his last Hidden Colors movie, that was interesting. They banned, you know, Minister Farrakhan is banned. There's so many different people in the community that's banned.
Yeah, so they utilize these laws to get people to not hear you. So when they banned me from London, it was an aim to stop me from protesting. They didn't want me to speak at protests, because they realized that every time I would speak, people will notably follow, and it will become a following where it will cause large roadblocks, where I decided that I weren't just going to protest in insignificant spaces, but I wanted to do it in spaces that held power and meant meaning to them, like Downing Street, the Houses of Commons, Westminster Bridge, like the Queen's Park and stuff like that. So I wanted to hold places as contested spaces in places of power, places that they found important.
Wow, well, you know, Sasha, just hearing you, you know, you in the fight for sure. I mean, you definitely in the fight, and it sounds like, you know, the UK isn't so nice as they try to, you know, say we're not like those Americans. No, it sounds like they're worse from what I hear.
Because since this has started happening, so what I've realized is so they always try to create the hysteric black woman. When you speak out as a black woman, they try and put it down to anger and mental health or hysteria. So looking at it, since this has started happening, they've not out loud said, "Oh, we challenge your thoughts or your ideals or how you see things are going in the UK." What they've done is they've had social services contact me about my children. They've banned me from London. They're actively trying to kill my spirit in other ways, like the police accusing you of grooming and stuff like that. It's like they try to kill your spirit. So they don't come after you in the outward way of, "Oh, we want to bring you down and shut you up because you're starting to wake up too many people, and we don't like that." They want to dismantle you from your household.
Yeah, they waging more so of a psychological warfare on you, basically.
Try and break that spirit.
Yeah, psychological warfare, basically messing with your children, messing with your livelihood, instead of outright just coming to attack you, you know, because you can see that coming. As I say, they cowards, they're complete cowards. And you know, Sasha, like I said, we definitely got more support than what you think. And you know, speaking of that, tell people, like I said, how we can support you. What can we do? Like I said, you got the website, Instagram. What can we do to support you so you don't feel
So
like you're by yourself?
I've got Facebook and Instagram, but really it's helping, like giving me access to platforms like this to spread the message and to keep spreading the message of calling for global unity and asking people to answer that call. We're in a state of emergency in the Black community, and if as many of us answer the call as possible, we could really achieve something here. So that's how people could really help, is reach out if you can, if you've got a platform that you're able to allow a sister on to speak to our generation. And if you're a member of a group of elders or anything, I've got knowledge and I could always do it learning wisdom. So I'm willing to learn as well as be out here talking and preaching from my stance and how I see things. I'm always willing to learn the next stage forward and how I could progress forward in a struggle.
Well, you know, Sasha, I'm gonna tell you, you know, like I said, our platform is always open to any of our brothers and sisters that's definitely need a voice, that's out there doing the work. It's definitely open. And so, you know, instead of coming to the white media that's trying to label you, and because I don't, like I said, I don't believe in going on their platforms. We have Black media now. There's no reason to be going on their platforms, right? Or we can create our own platforms. There's no reason to go through them. We have social media. So, like I say, anytime you want to come by, you definitely welcome, for sure. Like I say, you really, you know, speaking the truth. So, you know, like I said, Sasha, I definitely thank you for coming on the show today. And it was definitely great talking to you finally.
Thank you so much, King. Blessed to you. Thank you so much for having me on your platform.